My friend Sandra has just flown in from Las Vegas, and I've been watching her YouTube channel, and it has blown my mind. Targeted individuals, TIs, I didn't even know what that meant. Gang stalking, didn't know what that meant. We've got everything from objects in the sky over London to a variety of interviews with people like John Wedger, who was the ex-cop who exposed the paedophile cover-ups, to Russian scientists talking about ancient civilizations and alien technology. So today is going to be something completely different for people if you're watching this on my channel. And I've had to ask Sandra to explain a lot of the terminology. And as things crop up, I'll ask her to expand on that so you guys can comprehend what this is all about. It's going to be very David Ickean.
Yeah, certainly. Probably more a little bit, you know.
And the Americans let you in the country, did they?
They did, yeah. I was just going to correct you. I didn't, I'm not from La La Land. I'm from actually Estonia.
Yes.
Estonia is by the Baltic Sea. So for the ones that don't know, next door to Finland and Russia. And it's part of the Baltic countries. And it was a weird one, this trip, because I never knew that I was going to set my foot back on U.S. soils, let's just say. And that was interesting. And actually, it was a good thing because it can a little bit contribute to today's talk. And we're going to be, like you said, talking about targeting gang stalking and, different forms of mind control tech, military and spiritual. But my expertise is more spiritual. That's actually more. But I've just been forced into that rabbit hole, and I started to, look into it. And then I was, introduced to the technology, let's just say. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Watch the foot tapping now, because it'll come through.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I never foot tapped.
I had a guest who foot tapped all the way through, and it was a nightmare, honestly.
Oh.
Especially if people listen to it on headphones, the sounds like thunder, boom, 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 boom.
Very odd.
Yeah.
See, mind control already happened. I don't normally do that. It's very odd. Wow. Okie dokie.
So they did let you in the country then?
Yeah. I really want to laugh here. It was a very spontaneous trip, and I did a tarot card reading beginning of the year of 2019 with Maria Wheatley, and like I said, my not expertise, but deep interest is more on the spiritual side, and tarot reading, shamanism, paganism is all under that umbrella, which makes me non-religious, and she was predicting the U.S. trip. She said, you have a trip coming up. There's going to be a lot of complications, but eventually it's going to happen. So I had to write her a message and send her an image of I'm in Palm Springs, and basically it was good. I was actually a little bit worried. Just right before boarding, I thought that, maybe something is going to happen. I haven't been there 16 years. And I'm back. I'm back in one piece, and actually very elevated, very inspired. I came back guns blazing. I'm ready to, take things to another level.
Let's do it then.
Honestly, it was very strange because I lost hope with the U.S., but the local people are lovely, the normal, simple people. But just at the border, it was a nightmare, I was greeted again with harassment, and they kept me like over an hour. And
on what basis?
My background is Arab, and that's one of the nuances. And there's the other nuance where I have a little record on my history. And so basically there was... There you go. See, we have more in common, you and me.
drug related.
This is going to be very interesting, people. Stay tuned. No, actually, it's an offensive weapon. I was in possession of a knuckle duster that I'm very proud of.
I thought you were going to say weed possession.
No.
An offensive weapon.
Yes.
You do have that Matrix assassin look about you.
Yes, I'm in the wrong field. I think I'm in the wrong field. But basically, there was a handful of people in the waiting room, and by the end of the conversation, they kept us waiting there like cattle. And then by the end of the conversation, everyone in the room basically knew, who I am, what I do, what are my inspirations and desires in life, and it was interesting, good.
Can I ask why you were carrying a knuckle duster on that occasion?
It was a birthday present from a very lovely dear friend. And I wasn't actually aware that in this country this is considered a weapon, but it was half a kilo, so I think that would be considered deadly. So you meet your equal.
So you're not
good.
Are you a felon then?
Yes, I served 100 hours community service.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the first time, not first time. It basically, I'm not even sure why I wanted to return to the country, because there's nothing really lovely there anymore. We can joke around about it, but things are really happening there. I did see that. But 2013, with the Obama administration still, I went to LA, and then basically they incarcerated me for like almost 3 days and put me in Alhambra prison, yeah. So I would say, actually, because I'm pro-Trump, that things have changed, because even me getting the visa this time, I wanted to go to a conference called Contact in the Desert. And my friend Maria Wheatley's talking there, and a bunch of other friends. And then, with the Trump administration, I noticed that things had gone a little bit lighter, even in the embassy, because before it would be like they throw the documents in your face and shut the window. And this time, the officer actually apologized to me on behalf of the entire system. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he knew about the knuckle duster. And he's like, I'm sorry, I grant you the visa, enjoy your trip. And thank you. And
you said that on the way up here, we were discussing the Epstein case. You said that, well, it was under Hillary and Obama that Epstein got his sweetheart deal. But you said that Trump has a different perspective on the child sex trafficking thing. And it's under Trump that the prosecution and the arrest was allowed to go ahead, but you had a different perspective on that. On the way up here, you were telling me.
Well, what I was saying is, I was trying to explain to you what Trump is representing. So, like, what I've understood is from there's quite a few sources that he basically was approached by the Navy. Trump, things were getting so out of control already with the. I don't know what to call it anymore. Let's say child trafficking, mildly. That he was approached, and these sealed indictments were presented to him. I hope this is related. I'm gonna get there with the answer. And basically, they said that you have the funds to fund your own campaign, and we need your help. So, even though Trump used to be from the grooming school, where they groom these future presidential candidates. It's a Jesuit school, and this is where people jump at your throat. They're like, how can you defend this guy? He's a criminal. But this is what I mean. Like, maybe there is a longer sort of plan behind him, that he knew that he was going to, have to do this title. And with the Epstein prosecution, what I was trying to say is that, they're saying that he's not dead because there's too much, he knows too much. So basically, they're keeping him in some sort of like a Dulce base type of facility. Dulce is a myth that, Phil Schneider and people like that talk about, which is like even more secretive than Area 51. And that's what I was trying to explain, that, passports have been confiscated, Hillary Clinton and Podesta, and, everyone's, sort of things are happening, things that were never mentioned before, and...
So do you think Trump has got the Clintons and Prince Andrew by the balls over this Epstein case then?
Absolutely. I think that, because... it's actually, I don't know why he's putting on the show still, with the Iran talk and all this, ISIS, it's that is where I get a little bit shaky. But when you look at results, there were a lot of opportunities where they could have initiated World War III, and they avoided it with Putin, phone calls were made and things were agreed, and they avoided these events that everyone is very afraid of. And yeah, he definitely has them cornered. Definitely, things are happening. There's like 60,000 sealed indictments, and there's like court cases happening according to David Wilcock. Do you know David Wilcock? Have you heard of him?
Who is he again?
David Wilcock is he's a little bit mainstream now. He's a New York Times sort of bestseller. He did the Synchronicity Key, and he used to talk on Guy MTV, and he teamed up with a guy called Corey Goode and Emery Smith. It's very UFO sort of, but very political as well. So they're saying that there's court cases going on basically behind the scenes that we don't even know about, and people are being prosecuted. And, with Epstein, it's obvious that, I think he's not dead even. There's definitely, they're interrogating him, and it's not, it doesn't even matter because it's not the head of the snake. There's still, they're saying even Soros has disappeared now.
He's a mid-level manager, Epstein. Yeah. There's definitely a lot more to it beyond what we think in the media is portraying.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, what's the update?
The update, it's just ongoing every single day, isn't it? Prince Andrew was called out by the FBI for not contacting them and not cooperating with them after he said he would to the BBC. A second Bahamas billionaire friend of Prince Andrew has just been multiple lawsuits against him have come in, similar Epstein figure, trafficking. And I watched, speaking of Corey's, I watched Corey Feldman, is it? The actor. Is that his name? Corey Feldman.
Yeah. If he's local, I'm not very familiar with local.
No, the Hollywood guy. He's got a documentary coming out, and he's about to name the people in Hollywood who raped him when he was rising up as a child star.
Yeah. But he's not in the scene anymore. He's not acting anymore. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of people are talking about that right now as well. Yeah. I
can't keep up anymore.
You can't. Every day there's a new story.
I can't keep up. And okay, so basically,
and Weinstein as well. He's playing the health card, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Poor me. And the thing is that I wanted to say something that's very. I saw one of your videos. You mentioned American Made, the movie. Yeah. I have a theory with Weinstein that 2017 when American Made was published, that this is a very fundamental movie. You need to watch this movie. It basically shows in a very genius, subliminal way how Pablo Escobar was working. They can't put it in front of a 3D mind, just blatantly. So they do it very subtle and subliminal. He's working for the CIA. He's working with the Clinton administration, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on Clinton administration. The scene where Bill calls the judge and then the pilot is released. And you don't see movies like that every day. You know, this is going very against authority, you know, and I don't know who directed it, but I have a feeling like 2017 that because Weinstein was one of the main funders, he was the powerhouse of Hollywood, and he was the main funder for the Clinton Foundation. And because the Pizzagate became open, they always use the distraction method to shift your focus away. And then it was the Me Too movement, you know. You know, it has nothing to do with children. It was just a, you know, bunch of groupies, basically. And you know, so it was, I feel like he's behind that movie to sort of, he made it happen, and then they basically cornered him. You know, it's still not the head of the snake, basically.
Well, Monica Lewinsky was the distraction for the news to cover up Clinton providing the state security for the CIA bringing the cocaine in, which Barry Seal was flying in, as shown in American Made. And I've been researching the Clintons for years, and the information has come from all of the state police who've worked for Bill and transported him to his orgies and his cocaine parties, and multiple lawsuits settled out of court, sexual assault suits, Bill Clinton attacking women back then. And this is a guy, you know, him and Hillary, you know, champion women's rights and all this stuff, but behind the scenes, they're both just complete and utter psychopaths.
Oh, she's another level, you know. Her cloning is breaking down, you know. You can see it, and I don't think she's even herself or around anymore. And all of them have doubles, you know. They have, you know, a lot of doubles, basically. If you don't believe in cloning, you know, that's another aspect here. And you know, and you gotta just be careful when someone is being demonized in the media. Some are saying it's just reverse psychology, that, you know, they're trying to make us feel sorry for Trump. No, it really was another level, and people really go with that till this day. Like, you know, when you say anything like about this Navy theory or anything, it's cognitive dissonance completely. They don't want to. They're so convinced that the media is, and everyone goes with it. And then I'm disappointed with some celebrities that are basically doing this anti-Trump propaganda. But when you look at the evidence, it's true. I just don't like how he's putting on a show with that. You know, Iran, we don't really know the full story with Iran as well, what's happening there, because it's always, you know, more to it. It's not only mineral chase. And we're getting into 5G now. I feel like talking about that. Oh, God. Okay. I need to just cool down. That's another battle there.
Before we get there, can I ask you, who do you think is more psychopathic, Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton?
There was a funny quote circulating in Instagram. It was something that you know, it one's a piece of shit and the other is a, you know, perfect match, basically. But I think what I understood when I looked into their background is that Hillary Clinton was always observing Bill Clinton when they were younger, like they were already in politics. But then she sort of decided to take the back seat and mold him into this candidate. And then she was whispering into his ear and influencing him. But, you know, I mean, when you look at that video with Libya Gaddafi, where she has basically blood dripping from the corners of her mouth, and she's like, we came, we saw, he died. And I don't know who filmed that. Who filmed that footage? It's amazing, you know? And I think that was the beginning.
The mask coming off.
And then people, and this is what I mean, people, cognitive dissonance, some of them look at it and they don't register at all.
Well, she found out, she hired private investigators to find out all the women that Bill was having sex with. And then she terrorized them. Pets were killed, people were threatened, people were attacked. So she was really like, if anyone gets in the way of our rise to power, they must be eliminated. And there's a book called Partners in Power, and a lot of that comes from the Arkansas State Police, again, who were protecting these people and were sick of them and just wanted... The ones who are still alive, that is, and not in the Clinton body count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know. Clinton, like, he seemed like this cool guy. He had this, like, John Kennedy feel to him when he was president, you know, and I felt kind of sorry for him during the scandal, you know. It's very clever, you know. And yeah, it was, I think she takes that title, definitely. Yeah, she's another level. And it's shocking, you know. In the beginning, you're in denial, you're like... And what was I gonna say? It's I don't know if they're the head of the snake still. This is what I mean. You know, who was behind, you know? I've even heard this very crazy theory from Jordan Maxwell that the richest man in the world lives in California inside a mountain that regulates all these people. He's like Dracula living inside a mountain, yeah. So we need to find out who that guy is. So...
That was like when I asked David Icke what was at the center of the web. And it is complex.
It's complex, so. Well, what was his name? Me and names. That's another topic there. He says that basically these people worship energetic beings. And they are energetic, and they are... I think there was a figure, there is 7 of them. And all these Hillary Clinton level already past 33 degrees worship these, and they answer to them because they've invited them into this world, you know. We're not talking about any more Lucifer. We're talking about archons. Yeah, we're talking about archonic, sort of. And if something happens to them, then another bunch is going to take over and just keep feeding that circle. And everything is upside down. In that sense, I really agree with David Icke. This world is completely, utterly recycled. You know, majority of the people with cognitive dissonance are recycled souls. They're not registering. They're in an utter amnesic state. And that is worrying, you know, that is very worrying. But when you look at the new generation coming on top, then, you know, you get a little hope, you know, with the newcomers, you know. They're immune. I feel like you can't really corrupt them on our level.
And they've got access to so much information as well that we didn't have. Did you watch the video of Alex Jones and John Ronson gate crashing Bohemian Grove?
Yeah, maybe. I've seen a lot of stuff, so hopefully it's the right part.
Yeah, that was good. It's just showed how all these things do exist that people didn't believe, but now a lot more people are waking up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like you initiate a pebble, and then that is... it activates, you know. This is how I actually live my life, you know. You know, there's phases to awakening. In the beginning, you're completely... Well, I remember the day when I was completely sort of shut down, you know, fluoride brain, you know. I didn't even register. It would go in and out. But then at some point, it would come like cognitive dissonance, and then it would be disappointment, depression, anger. And with this, right, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? So basically, that when you're meeting people with cognitive dissonance and they're in denial. Funny enough, I met someone yesterday who said chemtrails don't exist. And he's a good friend of mine. I didn't know how to react. I wanted to do a left swing. I mean, I was like, you haven't seen them in the sky? He's like, no, they don't exist. So you kind of like plant a seed, and then you're hoping for the best, that maybe he's going to look one time in the sky and be like, hey, all right, yeah, Sandra mentioned something, you know. And it's very scary because these are people on actually very educated and high position people. He's a lawyer. He works with Goldman Sachs and blah, blah, blah. And it's very worrying, because people in authority, funny enough, on the way here, I was just scanning through Mark Steele. I wanted to know how much the 5G hertz is. And he said that they're deliberately hiring thick people into authority positions. And this is what I mean. That's exactly it. Thick people, you put them on payroll, don't ask any questions, just live and
take the orders and follow the orders, just like the Nazis structured it.
And it's easy, it's easy to purchase people, a lot of soldiers, they're doing their jobs because they're mercenaries and they get paid very well. That's the cheese front of the... But anyways, I mean, I think that there's hope because, like I said, my interest is spiritual. So if you want to go a little bit that avenue, what I was going to say is that the way I kind of see things is that, there is a physical world, but yet there is a spiritual component that is ruling everything. So I produced this movie called Awakening of 12 Strands, and it's covering targeted individuals. And
for people watching this then, especially on my channel that don't know what targeted individual means, could you just explain that? And gang stalking, because it ties together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, gang stalking came a little bit later for me. I was skeptical, but I made sense of it. So a targeted individual is basically there is several categories. There's what I talk about is the spiritual targeted individual that is being targeted on a soul signature level since early age, since birth. And then there's the other category, which is military based. And there's a debate now that which one is like more complex to eliminate, or escape. And, this is where it gets very interesting, in my opinion. So with the spiritual that I cover in Awakening of 12 Strands, you can check it out on my movie. I uploaded it for free. I published it 2016, and I decided 2018 I'm going to put it for free on YouTube. And when I uploaded it, then some of the scenes are out of sync sound, and I just couldn't be asked. I'll put a new version of it. But anyways, this is zero budget movie that I did on my own, A to Z. I held the camera, boom mic, and hired the actors and did the scene and costume and everything. But I talk about the archonic spiritual targeting, and I'm covering something that is not very often talked about, It is, I got curious, like, why some lives are so sad. That whatever you do, you just can't fix this person's life. It's just one drama after another. So, let's say a soul is born, they're born into a dysfunctional family, sexually abused, and then abused by the parents. And then that goes on to early, ages, significant ages. And then it involves everything, utter abuse, living in lack, poverty with, let's say, alcoholic parents, then going on to school, being harassed by peers, and that is actually very serious stuff. But everyone talks about it as like, society problem. This, I'm looking at it from literally archonic targeting, where the archonic agenda sends anything you can think of after the soul, anything, up till the day they depart. So it is family members, it's themselves, it's neighboring humans, it is shadow beings, not jinn, shadow beings. And military, they get into, sort of like legal battles, let's say, and they get literally targeted military-wise technology, microchipping, and mind control. And the idea of the movie was to raise awareness of such horrible issues, because eventually these individuals take their own life. It's just too painful to live, because if you're going, to school, harassment there, you're living like in poverty, then you develop addiction problems and you're getting involved with the wrong people, and then you get locked up, crime, it's self-sabotaging lifestyle. And then you're trying to move out of the parents' house, and then you can't get a job, you can't even keep a job, you're getting fired and fired and fired, and then you get into serious crime just to survive, and then that doesn't work out, and then eventually people like that, they take their own life. Yeah, that is archonic targeting, ladies and gentlemen. This is very real. And on my channel, there is another lady that talks more on a military aspect, which is part 2, is Deborah Davatis, But no one has ever really talked about it from this archonic perspective. And then in the movie, it's an uplifting movie. So basically, I'm trying to suggest some solutions. So I have had, I know quite a bit about the topic, and basically, unfortunately, there is, my solution is not religion, you're not going to kneel and pray to God and problems are going to go away. Actually, they don't go away. It takes years and years of discipline. And it starts from so many different aspects, and I'm covering them in the movie. So it's basically realizing who's the enemy, and then you start protecting yourself. I talk about shamanism. I haven't brought literal examples in the movie how to apply these shamanic remedies, but there's a long list of them, and they work. And I'm going to cover something, why they work. It's a part of a deception still, funny enough. It's very sad. This is a recent realization. Even when you're thinking that you're this super duper shaman, that you're still digging your own hole. This is where it gets very tricky. I just realized this this year, January. And so they work, shamanic remedies and everything, and then you have to change your diet completely, detox. And because biochemistry is everything, when we're resonating in the spiritual, physical world, the correlation of all the different variables, you're becoming a warrior. You're going to war, and then suddenly it becomes a routine where you start enjoying. You actually, then you kind of realize this is kind of cool. I like being a targeted individual. I know all this cool stuff and I can educate others, So that's from that perspective. But yeah, I cover everything. Changing your diet, changing the way you are looking at things, taking responsibility, because the archonic agenda is very clever, and it's very good at entangling one into karma. This is like a karma-based game, So it all needs to be correlating with each other, basically. You need to ask me questions, because I
What is your definition of gang stalking, and how does that tie into TI?
Yeah. So there's this new thing, quite recent, only a couple of years I've known about it. I paid attention to it, gang stalking. And there is unbelievable amounts of groups around the world, in Australia and Canada, Hawaii. Wow. And there's a documentary that I sent you. It was Vice that covered that. And they covered as well targeted individuals. So gang stalking is basically military-based. Well, that's what they say. It is government-funded projects where they hire people to follow certain individuals. And now this is what I mean. Like, my argument is that is possible, because I don't know all the countries. I've heard that China is out of control. It's completely under another level of surveillance. They're way ahead there. But I am a little bit skeptical about gang stalking, because if we're looking at it from funding perspective and the amount of resources that the government needs to use, it's only doable if you're somebody. If you're doing some very serious work, or you're a runaway scientist from Dulce base, with a lot of info, then they'll send a group after you. It's worth investing into chasing that down. But simple individuals, my argument is it's all V2K based. V2K is voice to skull, a sort of mind control that is being implemented with microwave technology. And there's two levels of V2K. There's the silent one that I talk about a lot, because I witnessed it. And as well, the one that you hear literally a voice. And it can as well make you very paranoid. It can cause like visions that people are chasing you, basically. And that is all part of this 5G radiation agenda. And 5G actually, this tech smart meters, like in Estonia, has been already around for a decade. And that is when the mental health issues started going uphill, because there is no mental health issues. There is basically this mass public targeting going on that is like everyone is getting affected by now. Everyone.
You said you witnessed something. What was that?
I've experienced V2K 2 times, and it happened 2013 in Oslo Airport in Norway. And then when I started digging deeper into it, I realized that Norway and Scandinavian countries are very ahead with surveillance. And funny enough, I think that was, I don't know where I was flying. Was it the time that I was coming back from LAX, that horrific experience? And then it's a very strange feeling. That was 2013, not very recently. And it's basically you hear a voice like you are in my head.
So it's not your own voice, it's an outside voice.
Yeah, and that one was like, it didn't make any sense. It was saying something, and then it was turned down. And then I took a few more steps with my luggage, heard it again, and it was in a public place. Airports, I'm sure that they have a lot of technology there. Yeah. And it scared the bejesus out of me, let's just say. I'm tough, but that was like, I remember I was like, Jim Carrey, who is that? And, I'm laughing now, but it's very real. And the other experience is a guy called Leo. He's Swedish. He's a successful businessman, and he was put to prison in Sweden. And they were injected, 20 plus prisoners were injected with a vaccine that contained very advanced nanoparticles. Until this day, he can hear the computer voice in his head. And the only place where that computer voice goes away is in Avery, Wiltshire, which is under the UK military and has absolutely no mobile mass on site. And when we were driving, he's like, I can't believe it. The computer voice is gone. But it was just near the megalith rocks. And then
they're always experimenting on prisoners first. It's considered...
You're very lucky.
Institutional. They're not considered human beings. It's considered institutional research. They're wards of the state. Like we talked about the Clintons earlier. Arkansas was the last state under Bill Clinton where they were selling contaminated blood from prisoners with AIDS and hepatitis worldwide. And they knew the blood was infected, but they just wanted to make so much money off it. And to this day, people are still suffering because of that. It's horrendous. But yeah, they do all kinds of experiments on prisoners. Especially, they were constantly offering me vaccines when I was in there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, the military I think, is the biggest consumer of pharmaceuticals. So that's just a massive contract with the government. Second biggest, I don't know if it's changed over the years, but from when I researched it years ago, is the prison system. So you got a highly medicated prisoners, and you've got people offering the prisoners vaccines, but I declined. I didn't want to be a guinea pig.
But you were given a choice, because those men were not given a choice.
Oh, they had no choice.
Yeah, because, that was it. And many of them, only a few survived. They could not handle it. It's horrific, so they took their life.
Dear.
You know, sorry, it's sad, but it's like the NHS program that it will come to me. It will come to me. A different form of mind control programming. In Brighton, NHS, Jesus, it will come to me, right.
How does MK Ultra tie into TI and gang stalking? Is that the military side?
Well, it was developed by, I think, if I'm getting this right, it was, it's been around for a long time. So, you know, with the paperclip scientists, they were all developing this form of research. And I have understood that with MK Ultra, they are using a ritualistic approach as well. So there is a spiritual component, but it's definitely corporation. Yeah. I mean, you know, all famous people are modified. You got to sign up for that. So, you know, I think that majority of the famous actors that we know have been forced into these MK Ultra sort of facilities, and they're like, oh, just come here for a minute. Let's talk. Done dollar. Yeah. No, honestly,
So when I was in jail, you get your legal discovery from the prosecutor. All this paperwork, thousands of pages of paperwork. And I'm reading about all the police surveillance that they did on me. So me and my girlfriend would go to an Indian restaurant. On the table next to us is the cops trying to listen to our conversation.
Yeah.
I had no idea until I read the paperwork. Now, most of my co-defendants were heavy crystal meth users, especially wild meth.
Yeah.
And if you're on crystal meth,
yeah,
you'll stay up for days. And a symptom of staying up for days is paranoia. And your mind starts to play tricks on you and you start to hear voices. So we've got this collection of characters on drugs who are legitimately being surveyed. But while they're being surveyed, they're so paranoid, they've got all kinds of theories of who is surveying them, some true, some untrue. So how do you differentiate them? Because from watching the Vice stuff on targeted individuals and gang stalking, how do you differentiate people who are on drugs or have mental health issues out of the legitimate cases? Because when I looked at the paperwork, I could see what was legitimate and what was not at that point. In my case, for my co-defendants.
Absolutely. I mean, you're asking me what's the difference between them and what is legitimate and what is the actual mental case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mental problem case. Well, of course, there are mentally disturbed people as well. But, you know, I think that it's basically a lot to do with this mass microwave influence on the population. Some individuals, they're too sensitive and they can't handle it. And they've been exposed to some form of aluminium, sort of, they're like walking antennas, basically, you know, and there can be anything, you know, that can influence that. Even tooth, I don't know what's going on with me. There you go, mind control. Heavy metals based, like tooth cavities, make you a very receptive to receiving these, and I've seen even family members who actually have mental illnesses. Yeah, they have seen things, and they, you know, that they've been infected or have had some exposure to something that is amplifying those signals. So we're all receiving these signals, but some are just more receptive. And then I think that majority are authentic cases. You know, lately, definitely, it's really epidemic because there's no safety testing done to this form of radiation. It's affecting everyone. It really is. I mean, mental health is out of control. It's nowhere near as it used to be back in the day. And I don't know what back in the day could have initiated some schizophrenic symptoms within people. Of course, heavy long-term medication can initiate that as well, you know, because people love their meds. Some love, and medication is the biggest drug, and it will have. But as far as gang stalking, it really is. There is not enough resources to send it after normal citizens. I think that this is all illusion that they're imagining. Absolutely. I'm really... I don't want to argue with the gang stalking community, but, you know, this is what I feel like. You know, I've told them this, that it's the paranoia just takes over common sense, and then you're getting a feeling, you know. I guess I can relate to that. I've been as well, you know, not always at my prime. I've had, like, as well, sad periods in my life, and you get this paranoia that, you know, that people are watching you and following you. Is that making any sense at all?
Yeah, it's getting the balance right, the balance perspective of what is really happening versus if the mind is tricking you into thinking it's happening.
Yeah.
But one of the things that interested me about the Vice videos was these guys said that they had implants in them, some of them, that they were being tracked through.
Kieran Lee.
So then they took them for x-rays, and there were these metal objects in their bodies.
Yeah. Kieran is the head of TI Group in England. I have met him, and those implants in his brain.
Can you describe Kieran's situation then for people who are not familiar with him?
He's in pain, literally. He has implants, I don't know how many, in the left and right hemisphere. And they were implanted while him and his diplomatic family were living in Johannesburg, and I believe it was Johannesburg, South Africa. And he's convinced that his parents were getting paid, and they were involved with the Tavistock in Brighton, NHS Tavistock sort of program. Yeah, and he got lucky enough to get these MRI scans. Sorry, I don't mean to jump over you. I should let you talk, but I'm a quick thinker, and
my ideal person to speak with is someone who just talks, and then when you stop, I ask a question.
Very good.
You just go as long as you want, because you've got all this fascinating knowledge that I've never heard. So I'm just here learning loads from you today.
Okay.
Expanding my horizons on all these subjects.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the behave a little bit.
No, you just expand as much as you want, because it's really useful information, because people have not heard this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you don't worry, I always have another question. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I just that's how I do it.
Jesus.
But I just wait until the person runs out of steam, and then I step in with the next question. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 questions, just in case the person gives me a very short answer. I have to jump right onto the second or third.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very, very good. See? This is working out. I like it. The reason why I'm elevated a little bit as well is I'm very big on supplements, you see, and I think I went a little bit overboard with the C vitamin just before coming here. So I knew that, because I'm very into biochemistry, and I know what is gonna. Normally I don't talk this much, you see, but I know how to manipulate my biochemistry, and then information is coming. See, it's coming.
Well, thank heavens for the
my God, you're talking, Sandra.
Thank heavens for the vitamin C overdose hotshot then.
Very good. It doesn't happen with magnesium, though, but C vitamin.
So you were talking about his case. The implants came in Johannesburg. And in general, other people have been implanted. How does that happen for other people, do you think?
What do you mean?
Do they get intercepted as kids somehow, as babies? Well, how do they get into them?
With Kieran's case, it was basically, I hope I'm not mistaken, his family was diplomatic. His father, I think it was. And he was, I hope he's not minding. I'm sorry, Kieran, but, question was asked about your Vice documentary. So, I apologize. I don't want to speculate, but basically he thinks that everyone was involved. But what I'm trying to say here that could be useful for the viewer who's suspecting that they have this, because it's painful. You see, the symptoms are literal physical pain, because they're little metal pieces. It's unbelievable, actually, to think that how was that done even? Quite advanced. Is that when you go to the GP, you just say that I want to scan that I'm having headaches. And then the fee is very low. It's just £15. And then you just, you don't start blabbing about, being a targeted individual, because they will never release those, because they're putting their jobs on the line. So you just walk in there and then you say, can you please, because I don't think that they're very experts that they can even notice. I mean, I have very little hope with doctors, but anyways, that's how you do it. You go get a fMRI scan, and don't tell them anything. They're obliged legally to give you the scans, or just go to an alternative one that's going to cooperate. But how do they put it? It's most likely politically involved families that are victims to such level of... This is unbelievable, It's as worse as that vaccination case with hearing the computer. I was telling the guy that how about you do a mercury detox, because I'm looking at it from biochemistry angle. So how about we get rid of the mercury fillings in the teeth? That's one of the first questions that I always ask people when they see and hear stuff. Because when you get rid of those, I noticed my family member health was going up. She's much better now. Then she did a liver detox, where maybe these particles that are making you a walking satellite. You really take a biochemistry approach here, because you gotta do it all. You gotta try. And what I was gonna say something about this epiphany that I had January is that there's a big epidemic with people turning religious lately, because things are getting so desperate in this world that people are turning to Jesus. Things are just, you get this fear. And the epiphany that I had was, as a shaman, I supported that whenever you're doing a prayer, which I've actually even done myself, I've done a prayer, prayer is good. It's good sometimes, you need that. Or you do a mantra, you do these Hinduism mantras, which I do. I'm not religious. That miracles happen instantaneously. If not instantaneously, within 24 hours, because time and space works differently. It activates a little bit later once you do your manifestation. That, in the Matrix movie, where they're showing the AI, the green AI, how this world is built on this archonic Matrix AI, that basically when you're doing the spiritual approach, the reason why it's activating is because no one knows how old this green AI is. No one knows. And it's observing, and it has some sort of rules to follow. So when the person just prays and says, please help me, and the miracles start to happen, and they're like, see, this is why I turn religious, is because the AI has to back off for a moment, because it's all data based. Everything is data-based. It's recording and observing you. And in my opinion, that's not military-based. That we don't know how old that cryptic thing, don't know.
So on that, just a few points then. I did get my metal fillings taken out in America, and I do meditation and mantras now, and I do feel a lot more relaxed and at harmony with the world doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's changed my life. One of the warrior mantras has changed. Miracles happen within 24 hours. Let's say that you're being bullied at work, and this is, important. It's your livelihood. People are fighting to keep their jobs these days because human beings were so horrible to each other. We have enough enemies. Let's just be horrible to each other as well. So let's say you do your prayer to Jesus or your mantra, and then the individual, something happens with them. They don't come to work anymore, and you don't have that enemy anymore. And then it's a little coffee break. And then another one comes along. It's not going to stop because it's the greed. AI, in my opinion, it's what is observing. And not many people talk about this theory. And that is why these mantras immediately bring results. And it's a little bit sad to think, because you thought that, it's amazing, I found the solution, and it really changes lives. And do it. Just do whatever helps, do it. I'm not saying don't do it. Just, the hell with that AI, but unfortunately, it's this religious, it's irritating when someone comes to you and they're like, I just did a talk on my channel. I haven't published the video yet because I'm still considering it. I try to avoid Jesus talk, but the guy kept telling me, you're a TI, keep, praying to Jesus and they will flee. He kept saying they will flee. And I'm like, but you don't understand. It's observing you, and it's has enough respect because it's developing a consciousness. It's that old that it's already becoming more than just the... But I think it's archonic based. Archonic is completely soulless. Forget about Luciferian movement. They still have some character or passion there. And they can't exist without being more than 49%, because everything is negative and positive. There's still some love in that movement even, but forget about the archonic. There's no mercy there. It's no empathy. It wants you gone, basically. And that's what I talk about in Awakening of 12 Strands, that it really, people take their lives from such horrible targeting. Anything you can think of, and that's why they're like, I try to help this person, we took him to counseling, he couldn't get rid of his addictions, and always in crime and always problems, and this is,
The links to all the videos that Sandra is referring to are going to be in the description box below this video. And neuroscientists have shown that, they've looked at the brainwaves of monks meditating and how the calming effect and the secretion of the positive chemicals from the internal pharmacy, and that promotes that healthy energy field around you. Then when you interact with people, there's more of a calming, because someone can walk into a room and just suck the life out of you, can't they, if they've got that negative energy field. So if you're out there and you're going through stuff, anxiety, I think meditation and a mantra is a very powerful tool.
I do it all the time. Last 2 years changed my life.
Going back to, we went from TI to gang stalking to people in the Vice videos who had actually been in scans. It's shown that they had these metal implants. So I discovered David Icke in 2003. I was in a maximum security jail in Phoenix, Arizona. My neighbor, a lifer, shoved this book under my door. It was the 9/11 one, Alice in Wonderland. It just blew my mind, because a lot of the things I had wondered about, he had the answers for in that book. So then I got this appetite then to read all of Icke's other works. And he was writing about, a long time ago, how the government would want us all to be microchipped. And it will start with the pets. They'll say, and your kids. You'll never lose your pet now. You'll never lose your kid because we can find out where they are if they've got this microchip in them. How does microchipping tie into the surveillance and the implants of TI and gang stalking?
What do you think?
What do I think? I think
We have a device here.
and we're already doing it to ourselves. Wasn't it Assange who said?
I'm so glad you brought this up. Another thing I noticed with this.
Assange said?
I call it the little bitch spy. He can make 10 clothes out of me with that one. It knows everything about me.
Yeah.
But anyways, you don't eat it up here. And the thing is that I have it on airplane mode now. So I always have it on airplane mode. And what I've noticed is that because you gotta shut it off at night, you gotta shut it off, and you get withdrawal symptoms when you shut it off for a very long time. Because we're talking about a united consciousness already. It is studying you very, very carefully. And you get a heroin addict-like withdrawal symptoms. So I think that I'm going to have a little break from it now. Because it's very, very skillful at inviting you back to it. And that's why everyone is just, the technology that they use how to manipulate you on a daily basis is basically during the nighttime when it's on, they can basically program your subconsciousness. And I think that they're playing binaural beats there. So, sleep deprivation is a massive epidemic. Men are not sleeping at all. I don't know what's going on with men. This is not normal, Some are like, oh, I sleep only 4 hours. This is all to do with that. Women are a little bit more, we eat more and sleep more, But women as well suffering, and yeah, they can program you during the night. I don't know, Dr. Robert Duncan, look at his very brilliant research he has. And he's an insider. He was developing these techs. He had no choice. He didn't know what he was getting into. He was just involved with this tech. And he talks about how they do it through the cell phone. And it is some sort of a it's direct commands. I was saying binaural beat. Binaural beat is gamma, theta, alpha, gamma, theta. And sometimes when they play the alpha in a postcode, you'll notice all people very tired. And that's what I was noticing in Vegas. One evening I went to my hotel room and I just fell asleep fully clothed. Because they have thousands upon thousands scalar wave masks there everywhere. And then I came downstairs the next morning. I was in the elevator and there were strangers. And I was like, last night was weird. I'm very open. I talk to strangers. And then the others in the elevator were like, yeah, I fell asleep at 8 p.m. What was going on in this hotel? So, this is very... Through the cell phone, yeah, they can do whatever with you. They can, honestly. You don't need a microchip.
I watched a neuroscientist give a lecture, and she showed 3 brain scans. She showed a normal, healthy person's brain scan. She showed a schizophrenic's brain scan. And she showed a brain scan of a young person with internet addiction and how the connections were being formed in the brain. And the person with internet addiction, their connections were forming the same as the schizophrenic. So by introducing this technology, brains are being reshaped on a mass level now, worldwide.
It is, absolutely. I've noticed it even with myself. It's time to take a break. Absolutely. It's already physical symptoms, severe migraines, you're not supposed to have it on so much. It's not good. blood tests show that when you're exposed to radiation, Wi-Fi, and phone, even your hands, when you do a blood test, the red blood cells, they all clog together, and that's the beginning stages, because the white blood cells separate, and then the red ones start to clog together into lumps. So that is why the leukemia and cancer rate is off the chart, because the radiation, and it's blood tests. That's all you need to do. And
So what about these people who sleep next to the phones? They can't miss a notification.
yeah, exactly. I don't know how that is possible. I've had people like, what? I sleep with next to my head. I'm like, really? Okay, very good. The thing is that there's like thousands of symptoms, similar to food, Some are like, I'm not allergic to wheat and grain, and dairy. I'm like, yeah, you are. There's like different symptoms. And it does have effect. You just need to observe this person because they do a lot of mistakes, They're with the fairies, they're in a hypnotic state. They say, no, it doesn't affect me at all. It's always by my pillow. Just observe them, they're in a, they're not, like normal.
I don't know if they're fake or not, but I've seen videos on YouTube where, because supposedly the radiation it's a microwave radiation, isn't it, in phones, where they put a bunch of phones around popcorn. The popcorn starts to cook and pop and crack.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I haven't eaten microwave food for a long time.
Me neither.
Because when you water a plant with microwave water, it dies.
Yeah, I saw that. That's another. As well.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. And I think that the one way to protect yourself is, see, we're getting really dense here. So it's not, the idea is to raise your frequency. That AI, it doesn't really like that when you keep raising and okay, let's forget about these people with the phone next to them. When you look at animals, it actually, when I observe my cat, I think her frequency and consciousness is so high that it doesn't really affect her on the same level as me. Because I have a 5G street lamp 10 meters away from my bedroom. I purchased the property, and 3 months later, I saw a zapper in front of my house. Called the council, and they sent 2 fully armed policemen, 10:30 p.m. at my door as intimidation tactic. Yeah, but I've done try to raise my frequency and be above it. Plus, I did the orgone bubble. You can check that out on my channel as well. I feel like that really helped, the orgone bubble with the 2 copper Tesla coils.
Can you expand on that a bit? What was that?
It's like baking a cake. You put it all in a bucket with the shungite crystal that is anti-EMF. And then metal particles, funny enough. And then it's like doing your own thing, and you put it all in there. Gold dust as well. Edible gold dust. And then you put 2 copper pipes, and then you put a violet ray massage stick to it to activate the copper pipes, and then it creates this magnetic field in the house.
Wow.
I've noticed that I can't get people out of my house. They just like the energy of it. It's not about me. They're like, should we order pizza? Like, okay. It's very odd. It's odd. I think that has helped. That's why I'm still okay in my house. But the 5G street lamp 10 meters away from your house, it's operating on 25 milliwatts. And it has a telecom device in it. And that is beyond hazardous to a human being, because even 1 milliwatt exposure over 6 minutes to a human being, this is, Mark Steele talks about these figures, is cancerous. So, I was very worried about my future in that house. And I honestly was already packing my bags because I couldn't fight them, you can't, it's a non-disclosed department, the council says. It's a separate entity, that street light agenda, the 5G.
So when the armed cops showed up, what did you say to them?
They showed up. They're like, everything all right? I'm like, that was the first question. And I was like, no, it's like I'm in my PJs, it's 10:30, what's up? They're like, there was a robbery, attempt of robbery in the neighborhood. I said, oh, attempt. Did it happen? They said, no. There was an attempt. I said, which neighbor? And they showed somewhere. It was all not real. And they were like this. You can see from the body language that they were sent, because when I called the council, I went Irish on them, proper. I was not nice. And they were sent with instructions to get Irish with me, basically. And then they're like, and they were just standing there. Have you seen anything? I'm like, no, I haven't seen anything. And they were just like, and I was like, is that it? I'll let you know. And then I knew that we're dealing with something that is real. That was actually already 2018. Yeah, 2018 springtime. Yeah, quite a while ago. I'm alive. I'm still alive. So I have this feeling like, when we're looking at it from a spiritual aspect, that there are some undisclosed groups behind the scenes that are trying to save this poor humanity project, even though we have dug our own sort of hole, but there's some hope, but definitely it's animating. I have a machine, and the machine, we're going to add that link. People might want to get that. It's a good machine. It measures the white noise, so you can hear it. It's on my Mark Steele video in the intro. I show it. The curtain is from the same company, and it completely blocks it out, which is hope. There's hope. And another thing, the way 5G moves is it bounces back from walls, and it goes through glass. So the windows are there, the street lamp is there, let's say, and then it goes through into my workroom, and then it cannot get into the small little room that I hide myself in, because it's a 1930s brick wall, red brick, and I sleep. I'm alive, yeah. And that curtain and the combination of the wall and just keeping my, elevated, but I'll tell you, when it was a hot summer, 2018, they were switching it on, experimenting. I could not be in the house. And there was a recording we did with Mike Emery, and I was literally in physical pain. I'm not kidding you. I felt like one of those TIs, these horror stories. And you can see me. That video is not online anymore because I was in such a bad state. We had to take it down. I was just like this. Oh my God, this. And with the heat, the 5G signal slows down, and all hell breaks loose. And it was a horrible. Even though it was beautiful weather, people were acting absolutely like animals. You see. Even sometimes people act like animals. This is not, it's a whole nother level. There you go.
One of the videos on your channel is about a man who's in a battle with the council over 5G. Could you just explain what his story is, please? Because they were saying that he was being abusive and they were trying to incarcerate him and criminalize him.
Mark Steele, yeah.
What is his story?
He's one of the initiators. He's one of the leaders in this movement. He holds a lot of meetings. You guys should check him out. He did the 5G Apocalypse movie documentary, and it has a lot of views. That's positive. People are interested and they're viewing. I hope those are authentic views. Side joke. But Mark is exactly that kind of man you need for the job. A lot of testosterone and strength. That's what you need to get the job done. And he's not afraid. So he went Irish as well with the local council, and they basically were trying to incarcerate him for just that. But you can't put someone in jail if they swear at you,
Why did he get involved in 5G in the first place?
He was involved with the tech. He has expertise in that engineering part. Graham Downing, who I spoke to as well at the AV10 organized by Ian Crane. Graham Downing, you guys need to check Graham Downing. His research is second to none. He talks about transhumanism and, like you were saying, the brain scans when they compare it. What's the comparison with a schizophrenic or someone addicted to internet? Basically, Graham Downing is showing those same images because he's a scientist, and every time when you log into your Facebook or internet, you're releasing something very delicious and addictive. It's that endorphin, and that's why the heroin-like withdrawal symptoms come in.
The big platforms like Facebook, Twitter, hired experts from the casinos of Vegas, experts in addiction, to...
I got addicted to roulette of Vegas. Basically.
They hired these experts to make the apps as addictive as possible. God, how many likes have I got? Notifications.
It is addictive, and when you look at it from that aspect, you're like, oh my God, I'm disgusted. And this is exactly. So I'm not an expert in that. I don't know how that is created. I don't know. Is it really just human reaction based? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that Facebook has been the most successful corporate entity in the history of the world to monetize the ego, because it's all about how many likes you're going to get, how many friends you've got, posting this picture here, posting this picture there. If you don't get those likes, you feel, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with this post today? I'm going to post something else and try and get those likes back up. So they've completely just monetized the ego.
Absolutely. That is exactly it. And I was observing, in Vegas, all this, because it was a perfect playground for me to see this mind control stuff. Chemtrails were completely out of control, and I would basically get massive headaches right after as well. And I don't know. I mean, they were even spraying oxygen. This is not a new fact. They spray oxygen into the casinos to keep you elevated and awake. And I was like, this is odd. I'm up. I've slept 4 hours. I'm already up each morning. What's going on?
You see all these grannies at 4 a.m. just like ding, 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 ding.
I am telling you, I got addicted to roulette. I won $800, almost $1,000, and I lost it all. And then I was observing, like, how is this possible that I'm getting it all right? I had people gathering around me, and I just learned it within one afternoon because I wasn't really sure about the rules. And I was like, let me start with $100. And I was there 1 week in a row every morning. And I was interested how this mind control component is working. But if you have no control and awareness, you're a done dollar. You have to be educated enough. But I don't know what your question was about related to Vegas. Jesus,
I was just making the observation of how they brought in these gambling experts. They applied their knowledge to designing these apps to get people just hooked online all day long, which is now causing people's brains to change. People are asleep on their phones at night, waiting for these notifications to go off. They're so addicted. And then you've got that radiation coming off from the phone into the brain. Increase in cancer, you mentioned. So let me ask you this then. You mentioned the spiritual side. Let's go to the financial side. Is it a goal of the people behind this agenda to have a population that is neither healthy nor dead? To have a sick population?
Very good question.
Because that is the population they can profit off the most by selling them all these drugs. Now, America's spends the most on healthcare, and it's got the sickest people in the world. So obviously these companies are not out to help people. They're just out to maintain poor health, because if you die, that's it. They can't make any more money off you.
Yeah.
Maintain poor health so they can maximize their profits. And even telling the healthy generation, because all these healthy people that they can't profit from, we'll tell you you've got a chance of catching something in the future. So we'll give you this drug now. Get on this drug now, like statins. It absolutely blows my mind, the proportion of Americans on statins and antidepressants.
Yeah, no, antidepressant, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that in terms of the population being sickness being created by 5G? Is that in the interest of the pharmaceutical companies? Is that one of the reasons why they're doing it?
Yeah. No, I've always wondered that. I should have started with this. My background, I have a master's degree in WHO policies, leadership, and legislation. I did that in Sweden, Mälardalen Högskola. It wasn't a waste of time. And we had to study Agenda 21, but now we moved on to Agenda 2030, and we were exposed to statistics on a long-term 30-year basis.
What are those agendas first?
Well, the mortality rate, when I was doing my thesis, I was like, wow, this is like we're being annihilated, because it was going downhill. The population decrease was there in their program.
What is Agenda 21, did you say? What does that mean?
Agenda 21 and 2030.
What do they mean?
They mean, they have labeled it like a normal thing, by the WHO, World Health Organization, and the UN. They're just the public health statistics, they're telling us like what is the prognosis and mortality rate, etc., and they're all saying that people are getting healthier and we're going to live longer, but actually that's not it, because my mother is a nurse in Norway, and they're building a lot of these care homes, and the agenda is, like you said, pharmaceuticals. They want to keep you alive, funny enough. I'm not even sure. I think how I'm going to explain it is this. They want you to be wearing diapers by the age of 55. They want you to be in a home care. Yeah, this is because they're making a lot of money off that. And it's it's the most popular job in Scandinavian countries to be a nurse for these facilities. And they're building them all over. And my theory is that if we're looking at it from the human military or governmental agenda aspect, they actually have ran out of patience. They call us useless eaters, you see. They're a little bit fed up because they're behind their own schedule agenda. They had other visions to get rid of us actually a little bit sooner, because but then if you look at it from the aspect of ARCHONIC agenda, the thing is that everything is energy. So the human being is emanating energy while it's alive. And if the elite really is obeying these shadow beings, energetic beings that feed off energy, because David Icke mentions that they feed off energy. And this is what I know as well. They feed off this energy that they want us to be alive, because even contactees, they sometimes see these ships hovering in the sky in certain areas where they're basically tanking up, from this delicious energy that's being generated in that neighborhood through conflict, pain, suffering, and misery. And as well, they feed off very elevated event platforms, concerts and like that. I'm being very specific here. And unfortunately, I know many of you don't want to hear this as well, animal slaughterhouses. And this is the reason why I'm vegan now lately. I was vegetarian since I was 19, but now I've decided that I'm not going to have my delicious cheese omelet. I do it differently. It's even better. But anyways, over the slaughterhouses of animals, there is this energy being produced that you can measure scientifically, because it's tangible and you can So they don't want to get rid of us, I think, all of us, because they need us. They need us as a food source. But wearing diapers at 55 is all right as well, because it's pure torture, pain, and suffering, and it's very delicious to whoever it's serving.
And we have Sonia Poulton on as one of our most popular guests, and she has done a documentary about the cancer industry as well. But as a general disclaimer, I'd just like to say, neither of us are qualified doctors. We're not giving any health advice out to people. If you have got symptoms of anything, seek professional advice, and not just from one person, from multiple. Go to multiple doctors and get, full spectrum of opinions.
Don't believe a single word we're saying here. Honestly, do your own research. Don't believe a single word. I always say that to people. Just go look it up.
So you mentioned transhumanism. What does that mean?
Transhumanism is it's
not like dressing up in women's clothing, men dressing up in women.
Yeah, transgender is that.
We just did a podcast on that.
I don't want to piss men off, but apparently Margaret Robbie, the gorgeous is the man. Sorry, let's time out. Jesus, I'm getting out of hand. No, she's not. She's beautiful. Okay, transhumanism. I need to behave. Anyways,
Don't behave. People like it when you misbehave.
Graham Downing is the expert in that. I think that they're trying to, disconnect you from yourself. And have your face always on your phone and work and completely disconnect from this reality and hack into your heart, your humanity. And your very essence, So it's a category of cyborg, So transhumanism is biohacking, That's where nanoparticles and microchips come in, and radiation. So they're doing it. They're trying to do that already with the 5G. I think that's the purpose of it, other than collecting data.
Can they do that through the vaccines as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they're pushing it. So vaccines contain aluminium, which is going to amplify you and make you very receptive to signals. And that's why the mental health epidemic is happening. And people say vaccines are not bad for you, but when you look at it, like I've noticed that once you get the vaccine, you get very ill in the first 24 or 48 hours. People develop flu-like symptoms, Some are less severe and some are more severe. So, and it's that very significant moment where it completely breaks you. Because I had a vaccine in 2009 when I was stupid enough to do it. And I was going to Africa, and, it's just stupidity. I wasn't, I took a quantum leap in all this, 2011. And when I had the vaccine, I was very, very ill, forget about the holiday. I was horizontal in the hotel room. And plus they gave me the tablets as well, yellow fever, and I was out of it. And it had a long-term effect on me. So I had to do a liver flush to get it out, because that one was heavy stuff. And
when you mention vaccines, there's like a knee-jerk reaction from some people in the public that you're anti-vax, you're a baby killer. If your baby doesn't get all the vaccines, then these diseases are going to spread throughout schools and kill everyone, kill all our vaccinated children. So I'd just like to say that my perspective is that the psychopaths that are running these corporations have taken things that people accepted as normal to extremes. I'll give you an example. So the purpose of the police and the prisons was to take people out of society that harmed other people, murderers, robbers, drug lords, pedophiles. But to fill the private prisons, they mass incarcerated low-level drug users, with the biggest category being weed possession. Almost 1 million arrests a year for weed possession. So you got the prisons full now of people who are not harming other people. They're just potheads. That is what corporate greed has taken America to. So you got vaccine science, you got smallpox, you got things like that, the eradication. But now you've got, in America, parents being told that their kids need dozens of vaccines, up to like 70, 80 vaccines before they become adults. So you've got the purpose of vaccines being hijacked by Big Pharma, which, like we've discussed, they just want people sick to maximize their profits. They don't give two hoots about your health. And by creating the legal umbrella that vaccines are administered under, if something goes wrong with those vaccines on you, you can't even sue the pharmaceutical companies.
It's just human error.
And people who say vaccines are completely safe,
Yeah.
the vaccine companies issue an insert that comes with the vaccines that say they can cause everything from brain damage to death.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is very serious. When you give it to a 1-year-old, like Shaun said, we're not doctors. I'm speaking from experience, by the way, regarding at least these pharmaceutical cases. And yeah, a family member gave vaccines to their 1-year-old child, and they are stuttering still till this day significantly. And Graham Downing says that when he's observed, okay, let's talk from his perspective. He's a doctor. Many parents have said that the child used to smile, and then the next day they change. That smile is gone. And basically, with my family member, one of the kids got it when they were 12 months old, and the other one got it when they were like 3 years. So there is a difference of their after effect. One of them can talk better, but the other one, it's just it is very sad to watch. Over 10 years old and completely stuttering, and it's like autistic kind of symptoms as well. So when they get into a panic and they get embarrassed and they want to say something, it gets so out of control. And then as well, the growth, they don't grow as well anymore, and the kids become hyper. The parents are like, I don't know why my kid is so hyper. They're waking up like 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, did you maybe inject something? Because a normal child, at least this is how I'm going to have my kid, if I have one, is basically vaccine-free and home birth. And the public health is really evil. Even on the birthing process, not many know this, is that how do you call who gives birth to the child? The doctor, Jesus. Midwife. They're taught to do this head movement with the child that disconnects the oxygen flow into one of the hemispheres. Sorry, I had to say that. I just found this out, so you gotta watch out. This is an immediate, very quick little movement, and it changes your cognitive IQ to significant levels. And you can see it even in the scans where it goes like, the term will come to me what that is called, but basically the vaccines, I wanted to add one thing here. It will come to me. What helps for it? There is a way to reverse it. Iodine, nascent form. So there's a guy in Finchley Clinic, and if you YouTube him, is iodine nascent, and it takes these symptoms away and it detoxes everything out. I'm not, it's a supplement, it's a vitamin, so, I'm not breaking anything here, the rules, but I did recommend that for the family members, so they're going to experiment with that and see what happens.
So we recently had Sharon Gale on the podcast, and what you just said, she experienced it, and her baby was perfectly healthy and normal. She went down to the hospital to have a routine, I don't know, taking the baby's weight or something, and they said they wanted to do multiple vaccines, and she said, no, I don't want this. I'm going to call my husband. She went to call her husband, came back, and they'd already administered the vaccines. So that night, the baby went into the vaccine screams, which is what it's called, where the babies just scream all night. And the next day, the baby wasn't smiling anymore and wasn't behaving normally anymore, like you said, just, something had changed.
Breaks.
And the health of that baby went down and down and down every single day, immediately following that action of the vaccines. So she started taking the baby to hospital, and they would say to her, we've done all the checks, baby's perfectly normal, take her home now. So she would take the baby back home, and the baby would get worse and worse, and she'd go back again. And they would take exactly the same, they kept going past, it was like past the baby, because if the baby dies at home, they won't be liable. They know when it's in that tailspin.
Really?
Get the baby at the home. She managed to get the baby back to the hospital, and the baby did die in the hospital. But then her and her husband were arrested for murdering their own baby. And that was just the beginning of their nightmare. Yeah.
I haven't seen that video.
It's not, well, by the time people are watching this, it will have been posted.
You have to watch
and,
this, and pregnant women.
I'll put it in the description box below this video, the link to it. But she brought in vaccine experts from all over the world. There was 5 trials, going to be 5 or 6 trials. She brought all these vaccine experts in, and they just kept cancelling it. They would not allow that research to be documented in court, be in the public record. So in the end, the vaccine defense was no good. She got released, but they kept her husband in prison. Imagine him being in prison, he's killed his own child while the other prisoners are trying to attack him. And he used a separate defense, which was nothing to do with the vaccines, but they finally got him exonerated. They were both exonerated. But she said that they'll try. One of the initial doctors said there was a fracture, so that they'd dropped or shook the baby or something. That's how they'd kill. But later on, it came out that the fracture didn't even exist. So they say you are a baby shaker. That's one of the ways they pin the vaccine death on the parents. And she's saying that there are hundreds of people in prison in this country and thousands in America, that she's corresponded with some of them. And there's court cases ongoing of these babies that have died like that, and it's been pinned on the parents so that the medical mafia won't be held responsible.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't understand, the evidence is there. Why wouldn't you believe it?
Not just the evidence, the insert says you can die from taking this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, for some people, listening to a family member or a friend is not important. Doctor is authority.
That's what she said as well.
Doctor
she looked
is
up to the
most
doctors.
important, and some they praise. And, then that is it. I can't believe they injected this child with
it's heartbreaking.
I don't know what I would do in this. I think I would. I don't know. I really don't know.
I cried during the podcast when she was just describing what had happened. It was so emotional.
I mean, what would you do? You nip into another room and you come back, because they have to do 5 these days. I've seen a footage where they're just this poor little baby. The body weight is not equivalent to all that going in. Yeah. And it's just, and you're like, oh my God, that's genocide happening right in front of my face. This is, I can't believe this. And then some people explain it that collateral damage. Some have to die for the sake of science. Some people say this that have kids. Yeah. They're like, yeah, I know that some kids die, but they have to die because that is how the cookie crumbles. And I'm like, okay, right. I can't believe this. That is a very sad story.
So, looking at all of your videos, we're almost at 2 hours right now.
Yeah,
Looking at all your
I
videos
can't
on your
believe we're
channel,
2 hours.
we did not discuss yet I think he was a Russian guy who talked about ancient civilizations and alien technology.
Valery Uvarov, yeah.
And the horns of what was it? Horus?
Horus, so wands.
Can you just say that again and tell me what that means?
Wands of Horus.
Wands.
Wands.
The wands of Horus.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was horns of Horus.
Yeah. No,
what are the wands of Horus?
Wands of Horus are 2 cylinders, and they can be seen in ancient scriptures and images where the pharaohs are standing one leg front, left leg in the front. I believe it was. I don't do that posture often enough. And they're holding these mysterious cylinders. And then Valery Uvarov has been in the field for 30 years at least. And he is the first one who noticed, in my opinion, I think, that these are technology. They're ancient technology. They are zinc cylinder in the left hand and copper cylinder in the right hand. And the purpose is to synchronize the left and right hemisphere of the brain. And there are different kinds of wands. They have different kind of interiors. Some are crystal quartz based and some are metal based. I have both of them and they have different effects. And it's a very long topic. You should definitely check Valery Uvarov out. And these cylinders, they rise your consciousness. They have helped me.
People want to Google that right away. Are you okay to spell his name?
Valery, V-A-L-E-R-Y, Valery Uvarov, U-V-A-R-O-V, Uvarov. And he is the head of St. Petersburg UFO Academy. I think it is a nonprofit. And he is, with very different approach to ancient Egypt and Hyperborea and all other ancient civilizations. And I don't know where, he's done this so long. I don't know which text, ancient text. He has many access to many, and these cylinders, they rise your cognitive ability at least by 25% your IQ. So very interesting stuff.
So you had the 2 cylinders. What did you have to do with them to get this effect?
So I sleep with them. So you sleep with them all night. And I've used them for 3 years. And I've noticed massive change.
Whereabouts? Near the brain, or you hold them? Where do you position
in my
them?
consciousness and everything in me, how I am. I don't think this
where do you sleep next to the cylinders? Where do you hold them? Are they up here or here? Where do you put them? Where'd you put them? Like, what's
what woman is like? I feel like putting them on my chest.
What's the instruction manual for this?
Please. So we're like, I'll put it under my pillow, darling. Jesus Christ. Okay. No, you hold the zinc in the left hand, and then you hold the copper one in the right hand.
Okay.
And honestly, I'll give you a little pre-warning with the bia, with the metal base. I've asked Valery what is in there, what kind of ancient metal, and he hasn't disclosed it. He's a little bit worried. I don't know. I mean, it's better like that, maybe on need-to-know basis. And with those, you got to be very careful if you're a coffee consumer and near radiation like me. So I was using them in the new place that I'm living in, and a lot of coffee, radiation, and a glass of wine at night, try to fall asleep. Bad things start to happen, That's where things get really weird because you start to see things and they You get very odd thoughts with that one. Very, very, very strange. But the other one is quartz based, and the purpose is to raise your consciousness, to synchronize the left and the right hemisphere that
I
are
see.
completely out of balance.
Okay.
You know, this is what he keeps saying. We're out of balance. We need to synchronize. It's all synchronization is the most important.
So you felt that increase effects then in your health. I used to take drugs to get the other effects, you know.
Grounding.
So it's a holistic way to get high.
Yeah, you're Walter Bishop, you know, because he self-medicating is not a bad thing in alchemy, actually. Everything needs to be balanced, you know, a little bit, because we're living in a three-dimensional world. It's very primitive. Sometimes you just want to get pissed, you know. It's too much. But you took it to a little bit different level. I think you took it, yeah. I don't know. It's subjective.
I've took many things to extremes in my life, yes.
It's very good. At least I don't see anything wrong with that, to be honest. I don't. It's mysticism. Life is mysticism, and this is now like a good way to close this discussion that, you know, it's all very dense, you know, this topics, you know, it's very sad, honestly. But I remember that there was a period in my life where I detoxed for almost 3 years. I went off liquor and I isolated myself and I was celibate and all the rest of it. And my family got very worried about me. And I remember that was after leaving England. And basically, I was trying all kinds of remedies to understand. And one of the remedies is to overcome the fear of death, to understand death. And I'd like to say, actually, at this age, I'm not afraid of death. Because when you do the meditation, the death meditation, and you want to deliberately reach the state of dying, you go OBE completely out of body, then you're kind of observing all this. And I think that we need to do that. Like, I think that helped me personally. So there's stages to awakening. And now I think the stage that I'm at is like, at the end of the night, I just kick back and I'm like, this is life.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please put your comments and questions, if you've got questions for Sandra, in the description box below this video. Huge thank you for watching and subscribing. Subscription logo, bottom right-hand corner. This has come about, many people have asked to discuss the topics that David Icke discussed on my channel. And out of all the podcasts that we've done two with David Icke now. I think Jamie Morgan Kane is the most watched podcast, 34 years in California prison for a crime he didn't do. That was podcast number 1. And then David Icke, we've done 2 podcasts with him. He's almost 1 million views on the podcast there. And people have asked that we branch out from just the crime into these other subjects. And there are not many. I've seen quite a few men discussing the topics that David Icke discusses, but I've not seen many women discussing the topics that Icke discusses. And I'd like to thank you for coming in here today and being so articulate. And you've obviously done your research, and
you're very good at what you do. You brought a very different side out of me. I'm not like this always, which is good. I'm surprised.
Well, yeah, I think after watching all the stuff that you've done on your channel, this has really embodied all of your work up to the present date. That's what we've done here today.
Yeah. And I have a lot of other projects coming about, so stay tuned. I'm pressing different perspective of the story from the other side of the coin. So still same characters, but completely different perspective.
If you'd like to watch the interviews that Sandra's done with the people we've referenced today, click down in the description box, go over to Sandra's channel. You can subscribe to Sandra's channel over there and you can watch all of the different videos. Huge thank you to people who have supported the production of my true crime podcasts. And all the links are down in the description box for PayPal, Patreon, Just Giving, Subscribe Star. And are you going to write a book about any of this stuff? Anything like that?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm publishing next month my first short movie, Walking Case. It talks about walking phenomena that many people have reported in hierarchy people. Woman in a romance relationship. It's a thriller romance and a little reptilians involved. Walking Case coming in March.
And are you familiar with the Arizona prison handshake?
No, I actually... I like that.
Bump fist.
That's what's up.
Thank you, well done, brilliant. Thanks.
That is very good. I like that. I'm going to use that.
Cheers, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.